Welcome to the Woman in Power Conversation with the President. My name is June Beland, founder, president, and CEO of the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Nevada. Each week we have conversations with our members, corporate partners, community partners, board members, young professionals, and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Our guest today is Patricia Lee, Esquire. She is also a partner at the Hutchison and Steffen attorneys. Welcome, Patricia. Let's start off with your job and area of specialization.
Well, thank you, June, for having me. I am a partner with the law firm of Hutchison and Steffen, as you stated, and I practice primarily in the area of complex commercial litigation, which is a fancy way of saying business disputes, contract disputes. I know we always try to make things sound fancier than they are as lawyers because we need to get paid, and so, so we have to make it sound fancy. So that's just contracts, shareholder disputes, corporate divorces, which are sometimes worse than actual marital divorces, believe it or not. When partners are splitting up and things of that nature. I also do some family law. If there is a corporate asset involved, I will jump into that fray. And then I do a lot of pro bono work, which is just where I represent abused and neglected children and women who are the subject of domestic violence. So that is pretty much it. We do a lot of other stuff like mechanics lien. I do some trademark and copyright work and things of that nature. So yeah, but mostly it's complex commercial litigation.
Yeah, and UPC codes and stuff like that. Do you get involved in any of that? That's along with the because you have to get your trademark before you can get that.
Well, that is more like in the retail transactional area. And we have a fabulous transactional department that has helped people get their product placed in places like Costco and things like that. And you get your UPC code for your products.
Well, that's what we're doing with the Woman in Power magazine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, because are we selling this?
Next year we'll be getting our UPC code,
and
then I want to get in the bookstores. Yeah.
Nice. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So it's a great magazine.
Yeah, and Barbara Henry, which is our government affairs, she's going to take a few copies to LA, and she's going to get us exposure there.
Nice.
Yeah. Because it's a business magazine, and the cover is national, and the inside is for the state of Nevada for all the powerful women we have here, including yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I want to talk about the topic for business that you had with Debbie on her show.
Oh, okay.
But before we do that, you're also the president of the Girl Scout. Is it Southern Nevada?
Yes.
Southern Nevada Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts of Southern Nevada.
Okay.
Yes. GSN.
Long titles.
Yes,
yeah.
I know. We just that's why we have to have acronyms for everything. GSN and GSSNV.
I know, and the Women's Chamber, WCCMD.
Yes.
I would like to put that on the emails, but it doesn't work because nobody knows what those acronyms are.
Oh, gotcha.
So
we got to rebrand so people know.
So as a president of the Girl Scouts, what is your duties and what type of functions and projects do you do with the girls?
Well, we are actually the board of directors, so much like I'm on the board of directors with the Women's Chamber. We actually have a CEO of the Girl Scouts who we just recently hired, Kimberly Truba. She is fabulous. Before that, we had an interim CEO named Helen Ronsky, but we were just borrowing her from National Girl Scouts. She was lent to us as a loaned employee.
Okay.
Or independent contractor rather. And so as the board president, the board meets 4 times a year, and then we also have small committees, just like any other board.
Right.
So we have the dessert before dinner committee, for instance, I think is probably one of our most active committees. We just had our dessert before dinner event in September, which was fantastic. It raised a bunch of money. So we just oversee kind of the 30,000 foot view of the organization, making sure that fund development is going okay, that the programming is appropriate and in line with GSUSA, which is the national chapter, the Girl Scouts. And then we just troubleshoot different issues that may arise, like the Boy Scouts of America, for instance, started letting in girls. So we had to go on both the offensive and defensive just to make sure that Girl Scouts doesn't get lost in that transition in terms of the Boy Scouts now letting girls into their organization. So we still need to make sure that our community understands why Girl Scouts is still relevant, why we think that we are the premier girl organization and have been so for over 100 years. And so we have to make sure that we stay competitive in this market. So we do, a lot of strategizing. We deal with properties, anything that has to do with the money. We're a nonprofit organization, so we have to make sure that we're managing our donors' money responsibly and overseeing just the executive director, the CEO, and her staff as well.
Yeah, it's funny that you say about, the competitiveness because, the boys and the girls and stuff.
Yes.
Because we have the same thing with the Women's Chamber, and nobody knows, but by law, any organization that is either one or the other has to let the opposite sex in. That's a federal law.
Interesting.
Yeah, they made sure when the U.S. Chamber, they made sure that I knew that going in the door.
Oh, interesting.
That later
well,
on.
we do have male members in the chamber, don't we?
Yeah, but with the Women's Chamber, you can't have men on the board.
Oh, interesting. So we can only kind of discriminate.
Well,
that's good.
Well, and the fact for that is because who is going to know about us better than us?
Yes.
Who can help women better than us?
Right.
But they can always come on board and serve in other committees and educational programs and stuff like that.
They serve at our pleasure, as we say.
Yeah, they can join government affairs. They can join the any of the divisions that we have.
And we do have men that do that. In fact, in the Girl Scouts, we do have fathers, either single fathers or just really active fathers, who are troop leaders.
Right.
Now, of course, if they're going camping and things like that, they have to make sure that he's not staying with the girls. They have to be, there's all kind of rules in place. But we have some fantastic dads who are troop leaders, volunteers with the Girl Scouts, and our motto for them is, he's man enough to be a Girl Scout. So.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's good. Now, I watched you on the show with Debbie Donaldson, and I really loved. And I listened to most of it, but I had to go back to work.
You had to wake up and then go.
So I couldn't finish the conversation. So I would really love it if you could tell our viewers a little bit more, because that was so interesting for small business. I mean.
Well, we had a series of segments. So I'm not exactly which area. I mean, she had. We did a series of filming on different topics. So I'm happy to elaborate on any of those. I don't know which one you saw.
It was the small business one you were talking about.
Okay, well, so we were talking about the small business program at my firm. Okay. So when I became partner in 2009, one of the first things I wanted to do was really craft and kind of create a program for small business owners in Las Vegas and in Nevada, actually. My husband's a small business owner. And so I get that whole mentality about, you eat what you kill kind of a thing. And if you don't make money, if the company doesn't make money, you don't make money. So it kind of just ignited a passion in me for small business owners. I mean, these are some of the most innovative, creative, hardworking, dedicated people I've ever met in my life. And they put their heart, their soul, their time, their money, everything into these businesses. And we just want to make sure at our firm that they are getting off on the right start, so that they are, putting all of their contracts in place, their partnership agreements in place, their vendor agreements, making sure that they are incorporating under the right form. LLCs are very popular, but it's not for everybody. Maybe there is a reason why you don't want to be an LLC. Maybe you want to be a corporation. Some people have really big ideas, and one day they may want to go public, and you can't go public with an LLC. You can only do it with a corporation. Really understanding the options that are out there and giving you the best chance to succeed, because when small businesses in our community succeed, we all succeed. I mean, they really are the backbone of this community, of any community. But especially in Las Vegas, a lot of people move here for a fresh start, a second chance, and it's kind of the Wild West. It's still the Wild, Wild West. You can come out here and do anything. I mean, I feel like the possibilities are endless, and you're not limited by, population. There's enough room in the market to allow competitive businesses to coexist and still have a healthy, share of the market. But you do need to see a lawyer when you're starting a business. I mean, I just think that you're just, you're especially if you have a business partner. I can't emphasize that enough. If it's just you going out on your own, there are still certain things that you should have in place. But if you have a business partner, you need to see a lawyer. And your business partner needs to see a different lawyer. It's almost like having a prenuptial agreement when you get married. Both of you guys need to see separate lawyers and figure out everything in advance while you're still in love. While you're still in love. Don't wait until it's the end and dishes are flying across the room and you're telling somebody to get out. And business partners, I can't tell you how many times I have a business owner come to me and say, my business partner just shut down all the bank accounts, and what can I do? Who's in charge of the bank accounts? Well, before it was just kind of both of us, and we just kind of, but nothing's in writing, and there's nothing to say who's in charge of what. What happens if we want to break up, if we want to have a corporate divorce, or if I just want to leave the company? Do I have to sell my shares to you, my interest to you? It's called a right of first refusal. Can I just give my shares to somebody else? Do I have to get your approval? What if I die and I'm married? Does my spouse now get my half of the company and now is your new business partner? So there's a lot of things that people just don't think about when you go into business, especially when they're best friends going into business, family members going into business.
Not always a good idea.
It's not always a good idea, absolutely. And those, to me, I think are the most important relationships to have in writing, because, then, people won't exploit that relationship later. You can say, look, this is the contract that you signed, the partnership agreement you signed, and we're gonna live by this agreement. So we have an affordable package for small business owners where, especially in your first year of starting up, we will, incorporate you. We'll do your bylaws. We'll do your articles of incorporation or articles of organization, depending on what type of entity you are. Make sure you get your business licenses. We'll make sure that you are compliant with whatever regulations govern your industry, because every industry has different regulations that they have to follow that are industry specific. We'll make sure that your contracts are in place. If you are a photographer, or if, we have these lovely people here filming us today, and when they go out and they film people, sometimes they give them a one sheet where they just fill out this is how much it's going to cost, and this is how you're going to pay me. If you don't pay me, this is what's going to happen. Can I charge interest? Am I going to get my attorney's fees if I have to sue you? Those kind of things. And you may not necessarily think about that, and you just print something off the internet, a generic contract, which may not protect you, especially since contracts are so state specific in terms of, what's enforceable, like non-competition agreements, right? They're allowed here, not in California. So you just want to make sure you see a lawyer.
What are the what about the incentives for small business here versus California or other states? Do they have any benefits, or did they take them away as time went on? I don't hear much about that anymore.
I think Nevada is one of the best states you can incorporate in, and you see that people are flocking from all over the state. I don't know. This is a function of our legislatures, the Secretary of State, just working collaboratively, and we closely mirror the laws of Delaware, which is a very corporate-friendly state. If you remember back in the day, everyone was just incorporating in Delaware because of the tax breaks and things. Here in Nevada, there's no state taxes. It is a very corporate-friendly state. It is hard to pierce through your corporate veil and get to your personal assets. They make it super easy to incorporate your business. And the resources that the Nevada Secretary of State has now on that silver flume, I'm sure you've been on, is incredible, especially compared to other states, because sometimes I have to go look at other states, Nevada Secretary of State's websites to find a business that we're going to sue or something, and sometimes it's hard to navigate through their website just to find what you're looking for. So I think Nevada is, they give you incentives for businesses. We'll see what happens, in this next wave of elections and what happens. It's always subject to whoever's in charge at the time. But I think one common thread, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, I think everyone can agree that we want to look out for our small businesses, and our businesses in general. And I think Nevada's done a really good job doing that.
Do they still have the same incentives that they had when I moved here 25 years ago? Do they have them, or did they take some away? Or
I'm not sure what incentives. I don't know what incentives you had 25 years ago. I wasn't practicing them.
No, but for small businesses or even mid-sized businesses to encourage them to move here.
Oh well. I think, again, our general laws and not having any state taxes are two big incentives to do business in Nevada.
Right.
And you will see people who do not have a brick and mortar business here, but will nonetheless incorporate here for those benefits. And so I don't know what the benefits are. I mean, there might be some tax benefits depending on your income and, how much you make and how many people you employ and if you offer health insurance. That you need to see a tax lawyer for. I don't do any of that, but I can say that we have several clients who've incorporated here who do not live here. They just love the benefits you get as a Nevada entity.
Wow. Okay, we could keep going on this forever. Because we deal with a lot of small businesses here. It's really interesting, and so we're going to have to get you out there. I know you're very busy, but we still need to get you out there for our members, so they can hear you and about the small. Because when I was listening to your comments and your topic for Debbie, I was listening to that, and like you said, I had to cut off and I had to go back to work.
Right.
So,
right.
So I didn't catch a lot of it. So you said you did so many sections that segments.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear what the rest of them are later.
Okay.
And get you to come to the Women's Chamber, which you're already a board member. So
I am.
We got to get you.
Yes, I call this my fun board.
Yeah. Yeah, all of us have fun. But you know what? That's what's nice about being the Women's Chamber, because we're supposed to be like nurturers and everything and help other people. And that's why I donate my time, is so I can again pay it forward. The same thing as yourself. You've been in the law area for a long time as well. And so now you can pay it forward to other people.
I agree.
That's what you're
Absolutely.
doing with our board right now, is everybody's pitching in together, and
Yeah.
we're all in other committees.
Yeah, and you ladies are just such an inspiration to me. I mean, I don't know if your listeners know about, the bank loan that you tried to get to start your business way back in the day. And this is one of my favorite stories, because the lending agent that you were applying with said, well, where's your husband? I mean, why isn't he here? We need him here. And I just think that is so hilarious, because now, I mean, look how much progress we've made. The thought that somebody would ask you, well, where's your husband? Like, you're not capable of getting this. And you got the loan, and you had a very successful business. And I really, really relish that story.
And I was only 34 at the time, so I didn't even think about that. That wasn't. I didn't know that there was any rules.
Right. Exactly.
I just went in and asked. My credit was good enough, and my background was there. And
some of the best business people are people who just don't know any better, because they're not afraid yet. They just go out. They don't know what they can't do, and so they just jump off the cliff, and they're so successful. It's the rest of us who are kind of old and jaded and overly cautious, and we overly examine everything, especially being a lawyer. I mean, but we have clients who are still young at heart, or actually young, and they're just getting out there for the first time in business, and they don't know what they can't do, so they just think they can do everything, which is refreshing. And so it's another reason I love my job, is just being around so many people who they keep you young. At least metaphysically young.
well, you guys do. I'm 73, so yeah, you guys do that for me. And when we all laugh and everything else, I'm actually laughing, because I'm usually in my office. I'm not doing anything but work.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, it's really refreshing. And would you like to add anything to some of our viewers, and as far as the Chamber of Commerce and?
The Women's Chamber is really a great organization. I'm glad that you founded it. It's been, 15 years?
16.
16 years, excuse me.
Almost
16
going
years.
on 17 in a few more months.
Which is exactly the amount of time I've been here in Las Vegas. And so I feel like I've grown with the chamber, even though I wasn't a board member until maybe, gosh, how long have I been on the board?
4 years.
4 years ago. But it's always been around since I've been here, and I've seen it really grow and just gain respect amongst the other chambers as well. You know, we are contacted a lot of times by legislatures who want us to talk about a bill that's going to benefit women business owners, for instance, and to have that type of credibility as an organization, I think is great. And I've been able to meet some of the most powerful women in this state through this organization. And so it's just been really, really a treat. I know my firm, when I started at the firm, I think you know, I was the only female person there. I was the first female they ever hired. And so I've really grown in that sense too, and seeing more women come into our firm now. It's very, you know, we have a lot more women now. And so my firm is really dedicated to that type of diversity. And so I just appreciate what you guys do for the community, and and our firm is, like I said, a big fan and a big sponsor, and we'll continue to support the Women's Chamber.
Yeah, and it's a passion of mine, and it's about paying it forward again, you know, of all the years I've been in it. But, you know, I have all of you ladies on the board that are just really instrumental in making us more known in the community. And for our viewers, it's just phenomenal. You know, I've seen you guys grow as we grow, and then serve on more committees, and we now have the Athena Awards coming up, and you guys are on another committee, and so
yes, we are committed out.
I know,
but it's all worth it.
And it's for education for the at-risk high school students.
Yes,
so
I love that we're doing that. That's great.
This is so wonderful. So
yeah,
I want to thank you for coming today. Thank you for being here and sharing all that in. And that is it for us today. We will see you next time.